Well, hello, that's me again. Today is March 12th, it is Tuesday, and today I want to talk a little bit about education. Usually I speak about education not in very thrilling terms when it comes down to the what could be defined as the combined West elites, but today it is even more so important because yesterday. Uh, Elijah Manier and Rick Sanchez, obviously, who is the presenter and owner, quote unquote, of this program, and me, we spoke about the situation about Ukraine and about all those hypersonic weapons killing whatever the West is still able to provide or already provided to Ukraine. And Rick stated one very interesting thing. And it's interesting because it is also obvious, but it has to be pointed out. Many people still kind of accept it, but they do not really formalize it in the clear thought. The clear thought is that the floodgates evidently have opened for the end of the pro-Ukrainian propaganda in terms of the major American legacy or corporate media, which are nothing more than propaganda outlets, and they suddenly talk about that, you know what, Ukraine is pretty much done, they need to negotiate, and they suddenly provide all those very unpleasant for Ukrainian propaganda images and news about the situation on the front, which is not good. They tried, obviously, if you follow the news, tried to enter with the diversionary recon group into Belgorod region. They were obviously annihilated. I mean, it ended up very badly for them. They still try to assemble concentrate some troops in the Kharkov area. So, yeah, it's, same old, same old. I mean, they're preparing more cannon fodder, which will be killed or annihilated, whatever the term you want to use here. But we will start, obviously, when we speak about suddenly those news, making it into the major news outlets or organizations. We may start with this economist thing. And, British have the issues with speaking about Russia in one way or another. I mean, it's always, Skripal cat, I mean, the dictator Putin, all those nasty Russians. But here's this economist, which is not really a serious publication. Anybody who thinks that this is a serious publication, there are no serious publications in Great Britain, period. It is primarily tabloids. The economic tabloids, or lingerie tabloids, or royal family tabloids, but they all are tabloids and are written by people who have no clue. And we'll talk about those people who have no clue. And they talk about that Russia's economy once again defies the doomsayers. Well, as an election nears, Vladimir Putin now looks to have inflation under control. And so, you know what? The problem, of course, with this whole situation, when we speak about it, it's not the fact that it is doomsayers. It is the fact that those people are badly educated and generally illiterate, who have been given those forecasts about Russia, not just for the last 2 years, but actually for the last 25 years. And if that hasn't been enough, now we have this, coping news network, as they call it, the CNN, and it's nothing exclusive about it. It has been known, but suddenly you have this, day before yesterday, actually, March 10, CNN comes out with this exclusive that Russia producing 3 times more artillery shells than US and Europe for Ukraine. Russia is producing about a 250,000 artillery munitions per month, or about 3 million a year, according to NATO intelligence estimates of Russian defense production shared with CNN, as well as sources familiar with the Western efforts to arm Ukraine. So let me put it this way. When we talk about their NATO intelligence estimates, they are all garbage. You can throw them away because those people have no clue what they are dealing with. And I will explain to you on the example of Rand, which we're going to discuss today. But the point is, actually, it's more than 3 times. It's much more than 3 times that Russia produces than United States and Europe combined. And then, of course, as I already constantly stressed, you need a gun to shoot those artillery munitions munitions from. And of course, as we already know, based on all the performance of American-made Paladins, French Caesars, all those German Panzer, whatever they had, 2000 and others, not very good what is called laner insert into the into the barrel of the gun, and they wear out much faster than the same happens with Russian ones. And this is obviously the issue suddenly of sustainability. You shoot some number of shells, let's say 100. On the 101st, your barrel and your laner begin to wear out, and guess what? You begin to lose their accuracy, and you need to change this thing. And how do you change it? You need to have the repair base on the tactical or sometimes operational rear. And guess what happens? You cannot do this easily anymore because Russians see it and they destroy it. So there you go. But this is not just the issue, obviously, of shells. Number of those shells actually do not feed, guns to which allegedly they supply. So, and it's the whole mess there. And even if we consider this number, which is extremely low, of estimates about 3 times more Russia producing the shells than the United States and NATO, Europe combined, so it's still doesn't look good, so. And this is not only that, of course, we have the situation with the missiles. Russia produces order of magnitude more high precision weapons than United States and Europe combined. And so we can go over this and talk about it again and again and again, but there's no intelligence estimate. Those people do not have good intelligence. They may be called intelligence people, but most of them have no clue what they're dealing with. And as the result, we can get to actually this article in Foreign Affairs. Foreign Affairs, obviously, you know what it is. It is also the propaganda outlet for the so-called fake intellectuals, which sit in the Council on Foreign Relations. Most of them are ignoramuses. They are political science majors, and they have no clue what they are writing about. And here's an interesting thing. On March 8th, the Dara Masikot, I once spoke about her, and she pens their Foreign Affairs this article which is called "Time is running out on Ukraine." In Ukraine, Kiev cannot capitalize on Russian military weakness without U.S. aid. And the question is, obviously, Dara Masikot should have pointed out what those Russian military weaknesses are, but she cannot. And the reason she cannot, because basically all her academic activity, and let's take a look at her CV, is nothing more than abusing the sinecures and all kinds of the selling BS while having no real serious education for anything. And here it is. She is a senior fellow in the Russia and Eurasia program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. So it's basically the front for the intel or agencies. It's primarily the operation of influence. Most of the analysis of the Carnegie Endowment is garbage, and I know some people who work there from Russian side. They are uber liberals who cannot even, convey their thought in the proper way. And look what she has. She has Master of Arts of National Security and Strategic Studies from U.S. Naval War College. She has Bachelor's in Russian Language and Literature and Peace, War, and Defense University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Immediately, these are the, all those red flags should pop up and the bells start ringing, because Russian language and literature does not qualify you if you spend your time mostly educating yourself in this field to be able to grasp anything related to the modern warfare and strategic analysis, even if you will be a good student and you will try to figure out what is this all about. And here it is. Prior to joining Carnegie, Masikot was a senior policy researcher at the RAND Corporation and senior analyst for Russian military capabilities. Read my lips. Bachelor of Arts in Russian Language and Literature cannot be analyst for Russian military capabilities because they don't have education for it. Period. You cannot be analyst for military capability without having today a serious, really trained analytical background, and especially, of course, engineering, military engineering background, which absolutely necessarily should include the understanding of the systems integration, let alone fundamental issues of the military science and operational research. But guess what? If you have Bachelor of Arts in Russian language and literature, you suddenly become what? The senior analyst. So what does it mean? So let's take a look, for example, what are those programs they really are about. So I will go, instead of US Naval War College, we can go to the US Army College, pretty much the same thing in terms of the studying whatever Massicot studied as the National Security Studies. And guess what? Just let's take a look at the courses which they are producing. For example, if you go to the Georgetown Security Study courses, as you can see yourself, there are a number of security studies courses which are talking about the grand strategy and military operations. So it's they're called CEST 5001, 60 engaged students in blah, 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 blah. And guess what they study? The military operations to create an understanding of how nations compete in the international systems. Okay, that's fine. Let me put it this way. You need to have a constant, higher level mathematics to understand how operations are done. And especially, you have to have the engineering understanding, or that means the physical principles on which weapons operate and how they interact with the human, which is, of course, our soldier, grunt, and officer. And then they give you what? The theories that have governed the conduct of war and formation of strategy from ancient to modern times. And they, of course, include the area security studies. This requirement provides students the opportunity to approach security issues from a regional perspective. It includes issues of conflict and politics, as well as economics, energy, finance, blah, 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 and the proliferations of weapons of mass destruction. And guess what? Students gain a thorough understanding of major international region and the countries within it, so that they will be able to incorporate that knowledge into their future analysis and policy making. Read my lips. You can quote me. There is no serious Russia study field in United States and UK. It's all garbage. All those degrees from masters or whatever of arts or PhDs in Russia study, in Russia's history and everything, garbage. The exhibit A of this is this idiot, cretin, really, Anatol Levin, for example. And Massicot is the same thing. She is the same product of the fraudulent American education in terms of the what is called humanities and all those so-called national security studies. And look at this. Technology security, what they teach there? Nothing really. They approach security issues from a technology perspective and provide the future analyst, policymaker, or scholar with the appreciations of the wide range of technology issues affecting all of those core SSP concentration. Well, guess what? You cannot study technology without having serious engineering background, and especially military technology. But then, of course, what is this? So let us take a look at the theory of war, as for example, Georgetown said, strategy, policy, military operation. So the free elective, of course, they have their electives there, but let's go to the theory of war and strategy as it is taught in the, guess what? United States Army War College. But then again, do not forget, most people, not all, but most people who go into the United States Army War College or US Naval War College, or for that matter, other service war colleges, they mostly are professionals, which already have serious experience in serving in the military and dealing with the issues specific for the military. Not that, I will admit now, I will avoid now speaking about the American military. But here it is. Look at those theory courses. Oh, good God. And we have here immediately what is really not taught. For example, Russian equivalents of the actually war colleges, 2-year service academies, for example, like the Naval Kuznetsov Academy, which is war college. You have the other officer schools, which are 5 years, which I graduated. So look at this. Thucydides, the Peloponnesian War, waging the Peloponnesian War. What is war? Clausewitz, ancient masters, Sun Tzu and Kautilya, Jomini, Clausewitz, theory of land power, the future of war and strategy. When you look at this, and yeah, sure, it's obviously important to know who Clausewitz is and read his Von Krieg on war and think about it and kind of, revolve it around in your brain to trying to figure out what he was trying to say. Or Jomini, who was creating this, the geometry of the, warfare. But guys, we're talking about 21st century. We're talking about the extremely advanced ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. We're talking about hypersonic weapons. We're talking about freaking computers who are basically developing part of the firing solution or full firing solution. And when you look at this, and you look especially on the operational art as represented in the late 20th and 21st century, how the hell, even Peloponnesian War comes into play here. And this is what is the problem here with the American or NATO militaries. They study all kind of those abstract theories with very little mathematical and physics understanding of it. That is why you might have actually some admirals from US Naval Academy who have the major in literature. How can you go and command and understand the war when you do not understand how the physical principles of the weapons are integrated in your tactical and operational considerations? This is engineering, 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 and engineering again. But guess what? You have all those people like this Massicot who has no clue what she is writing about. She has absolutely zero background because as anybody who went through those national security studies in the United States will have zero background in providing any competent opinion of matters of real national security and of course on matters of warfare. You saw it all yourself. You saw how it all ended up in a catastrophe which precipitated, as what Rick Sanchez says, that sudden the floodgates opening, and you know what, you have all those, as of course there was a command, no doubt about it. There are no free media in the United States. I'm talking about obviously legacy or corporate media, and they were given the command to start basically, drawing the grim picture. They still don't draw or didn't draw it properly or grim enough, but at least it's a good start. And of course, it is done for the pure election issues of Biden administration and Democratic National Committee. None of them. There are no people there who understand issues of real issues of national security and, as I already stated, modern warfare. None of them have any background in it because it's all garbage, as becomes mostly the so-called education or in the American Ivy League and other Georgetowns and what have you programs, which are nothing but sinecures to be abused by academic shysters. And as I already stated, warfare is very difficult. National security studies evidently not. And here we have the situation. Rand, guess what? Rand, which is infested with the political science majors, suddenly produces in February this thing. Guess what? It is written by Samuel Cherap and Miranda Priebe. Samuel Cherap, I already spoke about this guy. He speaks Russian. He's, I believe, so anyhow, the guy is political science PhD, as most of them are, and even those generals who are on the Rand board, they know very little about real warfare. But look at this. They produced this research report on the assessing options for US strategy toward Russia after the Ukraine war. Okay, that's good. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this type of the research or should not write about assessment of the options. But here is the problem. When you begin to read this, absolutely all of this writing is actually the level of the high school paper reporting. This is the how low it is American thought today in regards to the real issues of the practical geopolitics and again modern warfare. But look at this. What they do, these guys, this is absolutely, well, it's not really hilarious, but it is really funny. Look at this. They write the options for post-war US strategy towards Russia, and they write the table. Well, you have to sometimes draw the table and, debit, credit, plus, minus, pro, cons, what have you. And here they do this. They write about hardline approach and less hardline approach. And this is when I started to laugh. And this shows you that actually, until the United States gets its house in order, gets its proper military education from service academies and, appropriately designed and enforced the policies of the academic excellence, let alone if you have to really get rid of this. I mean, political science is not science. It is not valid even course. It's a hodgepodge combination of the random facts which produces no systemic education. And here it is. Here are the guys who write about hardline approach. And let's say strategic stability. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. United States doesn't even know what strategy is. Pardon my French, but this is the reality of life. And so they say that unwillingness to engage in strategic arms control negotiations. Okay, that's fine. The reason it is funny is because if they think they are punishing Russia with it, they are really wrong because they are punishing themselves, because the gap in strategic arms is growing between Russia and combined West. And United States cannot even afloat a new strategic missile submarine, Columbia-class. And guess what? For now, it's 2030. It's still slated to have the, Trident D5 ballistic missile. It's a good missile, but it will be 41 years old by the time of 2030. Well, guess what? Russians deploy, meanwhile, an incredible variety of the strategic strike systems, especially hypersonic ones. And I don't know, yeah, sure, if they want to, think that this is hardline approach, well, too freaking bad. But obviously, the willingness to pursue strategic arms control in the less hardline approach, sure, whatever, So, but then they have, again, as already stated, competitive new nuclear capability development and force posture. What force? What are they talking about? Where they see new nuclear capability development when there is actually even the Sentinel, which was supposed to go as the new substitution for the Minutemen. They have issues there. Usually it's already cost overruns, and who knows, it's going to be delayed probably by 5-10 years additionally when they will see this Sentinel go on first line service. Deployed rather. Well, 35? 2035, 2040, I don't know. And then they say deployment of more ballistic missile defense installation in Europe and Asia. Useless. None of those systems work. They will not stop any kind of the hypersonic weaponry. And so, yeah, sure, well, let the US military industrial complex, just get the cash. So of course, yeah, that's a serious one. Deployment of intermediate range ground-based missiles in Europe. Yeah. That's the only thing they can do. But that's what the special military operation is about, because obviously they have to understand that with the development of the sea-based hypersonic weapons and Russia cooking those nuclear and diesel-electric submarines like the hotcakes, I mean, Russia will simply increase patrols near the shores of the United States and then, of course, deploy some Poseidon. So, yeah, good luck with using this. So, and then, of course, they use those stupid terms like sustainment of elevated wartime forces levels in Europe. Yeah, these guys, I mean, they don't even understand what the real sustainment is. But again, it's impossible to explain in people in RAND or any graduate of American political science, degree meals, what is real sustainment and how they want to maintain those elevated wartime force levels. Then, and of course provision of funds, arms and training with the focus of enabling offensive maneuver. The guys need to take a real serious course in tactics of the land forces, because they evidently do not understand what offensive maneuver in the modern warfare is. And if they don't understand what is security of forward field in Russian tactics is, where they allow the enemy to deploy rank itself into the columns, they better look at the modern strike means and what ROC and RUC are, which is of course recon strike complexes and recon fire complexes. It's like, yeah, you cannot explain this to them. The people are illiterate, literally. And so then, well, of course, they won't support Georgia for integration. Yeah, good luck in integrating Georgia in NATO. And of course, the only thing they have, sustainment of most wartime sanctions on Russia. Russia doesn't care. Really, Russia doesn't care, because nobody in Russia believes, and rightly so, that any sanctions will be actually cancelled. And this is forever sanctions, and Russians are on record and say, we don't care, you can sanction us whatever you want. But once, which is happening right now, the US dollar is completely dethroned, that will be it. They can keep whatever they want with the sanctions. They're not going to affect Russia. And that tells me, when you look at this and you look at those courses, you look what they teach in, naval war colleges or U.S. Army war colleges. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, history is fine. Clausewitz is fine. Sure. How many of them study Svechin? Nah, I don't think so many. So there you go. And yeah, if you want to study the experience of Wehrmacht and consider a successful one, then there's no surprise that you cannot find your own butt with your both hands in the brightly lit room, because degree in the Russian literature and language or in political science will not get you there. Simple as that. Get some freaking serious calculus and engineering courses for starters, and then maybe number of years, such as there is like 4 years in Russian high schools or public schools, and then of course 2 years in the military academies, which is strictly physics. Good luck with that. So I don't think so they have time or ability to do that. So that's why they all flock to those pseudo-academic courses to provide all kinds of garbage. And of course, when you have garbage is the foundation of your assessment and analysis, guess what? Yep, you're screwed. So, and if that hasn't been enough, there is really sad news. They are sad for me, because I live in Seattle. It is for so many decades, that was really, how to put it, the pride of Seattle, Jet City, it was called. And guess what? Now we have the situation yesterday. And we know Boeing is going down. It's horrible what is happening with the company. But guess what? Now Boeing whistleblower found death in apparent suicide. A prominent Boeing whistleblower who reported on safety and quality control concerns in the company's production line was found dead Saturday, according to South Carolina authorities. John Barnett, 62, died of an apparent self-inflicted wound on Friday. Anybody can tell me that it was a self-inflicted wound to the back of his head, and it was 3 shots with 1 control shot? This is what actually one has to really think when they look at what is happening with Boeing, which literally, it's unbelievable how this company completely is going down right now, and especially with this absolutely cursed piece of machinery known as Boeing 737 MAX versions. And now they have, guess what? They just recently found another problem with the goddamn rudders. And this is, if you remember Pittsburgh, I believe in 1994, stuck rudder. Well, guess what? They have now the nut and bolts, which are not properly secured there. And guess what? They get this rudder stuck. And luckily, it happened already on the ground. If it would have been in the air, people would have died. So this is horrible what is happening in Boeing, but this is very emblematic with this whole situation with the United States, which literally now is being torn at the seams. And this is horrible. Will Boeing be able to rebound from it? I don't think so. It's possible with the 737, which has to be retired. It is simply obsolete aircraft. They need to develop normal single aisle aircraft. But are they capable? Not if they kill, obviously, whistleblowers. Whoever killed the whistleblower? We all believe that it was their suicide, right? So this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford it, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee or two. And this is it for today. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Have a nice week. Bye-bye.